Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108 here to my Blu-ray pickups video for February of 2019. And as you can see here guys, I have a small but very interesting and quite unique stack to talk to you guys about here today. So let's get into it, shall we, with the first title that I picked up for the month, and that is none other than Uninvited from Vinegar Syndrome. Actually, the first of three Vinegar Syndrome titles that I picked up for the month here. And as you can see, this really great slipcover here with the woman there and the cat and another like cat coming out of its mouth. And on the backside here, you have the cat and of course the cruise liner right here as well. And on the inside, the art that I picked is actually the one with the cat and the woman there. I thought that was actually the better of the two artworks, but both of them actually are really nice to choose, whichever one you decide on. And, oh man, let's get into this because I had never actually heard of the movie before, and when they announced it, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this one a chance. I watched the trailer, I liked it, I thought it was kind of weird and odd and something that was right up my alley. And so I was like, okay, man, I'm gonna pre-order this sucker. And it's about this cat who it must have gotten experimented on at some point in this laboratory, and it ends up escaping the laboratory, and these five sort of college students, they're partying on spring break, and they end up finding the cat, and they accept this offer by this guy who's like this mob boss who is like not on the up and up. He's kind of a really shady and creepy dude. And with a couple of his henchmen, they're going to this island to take out all this money from this foreign bank so that the government doesn't seize their assets and arrest them. And all the while that's going on, you also have the cat in here as well, who ends up being able to almost like barf up another cat, and that cat kills people, like people on the ship, and then goes right back into the other cat's mouth and sort of like waits until it's about to strike again, and these people have to try to find the cat and destroy the cat and survive. And it's all kinds of weirdness, it's all kinds of B-movie cheese and ridiculousness. And I I really enjoyed this one, guys. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think there's a kind of a charm quality to this movie. I mean, it's over the top, and some of the effects are ridiculous, and some of them, quite frankly, don't work. The acting is way over the top. But I think for the time period it was made, there's a charm here, and there's something to be said about movies made back in the day where they didn't have all the resources of CGI, and they didn't have, they weren't going for that effect of cheesiness just for the sake of cheesiness. They were really trying to make something unique and interesting, and maybe they failed in some ways, but there's a charm to that, I think. Whereas you see some movies now today, like stuff from The Asylum, for instance, where it's just cheesy for cheesiness sake, and they're not really trying to make a good movie exactly, where these people were trying to make something interesting, and even though it kind of failed in a little bit of ways, that's where the charm and uniqueness sort of comes into it. I really enjoyed it, man. I thought the stuff with the cat I thought was really interesting and weird and odd. I had never seen something like that before, where another cat is coming out of another cat's mouth, so I thought that was unique and interesting. The acting here, cheesy as it is, I still enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. You have people like George Kennedy in here. You have Clu Gulager, a younger Clu Gulager, but a younger Clu Gulager just means that he's got like less gray hair. That's about it here. But the movie is directed by Graydon Clark. Now, Graydon Clark, if you guys don't know Graydon Clark, he directed movies like Without Warning, Wacko, Joysticks, plus so much more films. Add this one to the list as well. Yeah, man, I really enjoyed this one. I had a ball with it. I thought it was really fun and interesting, and yeah, this one is not going to win any awards for high art, but yeah, consider me actually really happy with this movie, guys. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And give Vinegar Syndrome credit, guys, because they did a really great job with this title. you have got here a commentary track with the director Graydon Clark, and he actually is a really great person for commentaries. He talks about working with the actors, talks about the budget constraints, working with the puppet and the cat, and how a lot of this stuff was only just one take, that they couldn't do multiple takes at a time because unfortunately they just didn't have the budget. So actors wanted to do multiple takes, and he's like, hey, we don't got the money for this. We just got to move on. So it's kind of fun, that commentary. You also get here an interview with the cinematographer, and of course, he talks about the other films that he's done in his canon of being a cinematographer. He talks about this movie, where this movie ranks in movies that he's done in the past, to working with the cat, and how the cat was a complete pain in the ass. A lot of really fun, interesting stuff in that interview. You also get original theatrical trailer, and you get an alternate international cut of the movie. Now, you get the theatrical and the international cut, and I actually prefer the international cut, guys. And the reason why I prefer that cut is because there's there's a little more character development in there. There's a little more character. There's a little extra scenes with the characters explaining things. I think there's a little extra stuff with the cat in there as well. There's an alternate ending, which I think is actually a better ending to the film than the actual theatrical one. It takes out certain scenes from the theatrical version that is a little more jokey, but I think it actually helps the film, and I think it's actually a better movie. I think both films are good, but I think the better film is the international cut, which I'm gonna be watching more in the future. But great set of extras here. Vinegar Syndrome did a really great job, and a really interesting movie, guys. I really enjoy it. Uninvited. Then the next title that I picked up is another Vinegar Syndrome title, and that is none other than There's Nothing Out There, with this really great slipcover here with the females kind of lurking around wondering what's happening there, with the creature's eye kind of right there, and on the backside the wooded area with the creature's eye again right there. And on the inside, you get one of the theatrical arts as well. Very cool art right here. I really like that with the woman and the creature sort of popping out there. Very cool stuff there. And really interesting movie because, you know, this movie is interesting in a lot of ways for the fact that when you look back at Scream, like that first Scream from 1996, a lot of people really praise that movie for the fact of, oh, you have this character of Randy that works in a video shop, and he's very knowledgeable about films, and he's commenting on other films and commenting on the movie, and how there's these horror tropes, and how the characters are sort of falling into these tropes, etc., etc. And people really praised the movie for that at the time and thought it was really unique and interesting and something they had never seen before. Well, this movie came out about 6 or 7 years before Scream did, and it did the exact same thing. Basically, it's about a bunch of these 20-somethings who end up going to this sort of vacation home in the woods, and they're just relaxing and enjoying, the vacation and the time with each other. And all the while, they are being stalked and killed by this alien creature that will possess them and kill them, and it's a very interesting and unique horror take. It's very much a horror comedy in a lot of ways, guys. And I really appreciated this movie a lot because you have a character in here who is just like the Randy character from Scream, works at a video store. He ends up actually going on the vacation with these people, and he talks about how this is just like Evil Dead, or this is just like John Carpenter's The Thing. And he talks about how characters are falling into these tropes, and oh my god, you're stupid, you're going through that goddamn door, you're easily gonna get killed, god, how stupid are you? And he's commenting on the horror tropes as the movie's going on, and it's really unique to think that this movie did it way before Scream did, before something like Wes Craven's A New Nightmare did it as well. I thought it was really unique in thinking that this was technically almost the first of those brands of doing that type of horror comedy type of talking about the horror tropes while being in a horror movie. But I had never heard of this movie before, and it was something that I definitely wanted to check out. I loved the trailer to it, and the movie's really fun, guys. I think the acting here is, yeah, it's a little cheesy and a little slightly over the top, but I thought that the actors are all having fun with the roles. They're really getting into it. I loved the setting with the woods. I loved the alien creature, man. I loved the design of it. It is cheesy, and a little bit ridiculous, but I really loved the design of it, and I loved the way that the alien creature was in the movie, how they utilized the creature, how it could manipulate people, and I loved the teeth and everything. I thought it was a really great design of the creature as well. I really enjoyed this one, man. It feels like an homage to a lot of the earlier horror films. It feels like it's honoring those horror films, but yet doing its own thing at the same time. I was really pleasantly surprised by this film, guys. I really liked it a lot, and consider me a fan of this one, and a very unique fan in thinking that this came out way before something like Scream, and it did something for the genre that nobody recognized it for at the time, that they praised something for Scream about. Yeah, it was very fascinating, very interesting. Really like this one a lot. And Vinegar, man, they really went out on this title, guys. They had so much stuff to put on this disc. You have got a making of sort of interview documentary with the director and the director's father, who's also the editor. They talk about the budget, they talk about getting the actors, they talk about how this film was perceived when it came out, how it was to edit the film, and the legacy of the film now. It's very fascinating making of interview with them. You also get an interview with the editor alone, talking about his work as an editor, cutting TV spots, cutting commercials, other films, how he helped his son with this film as well. Very interesting stuff there. You also get interviews with some of the cast looking back on the film, the auditions that they did, what they think of the film, its place in the horror genre, stuff like that. Very interesting as well here. You get four commentaries here, guys. Four audio commentaries here. You get an archival commentary. You get a new one with the director and the father here. You get a new one with the cast talking about the film and what they think of it. You also get a commentary with the hysteria continues, joking and laughing about the film as well. So you get a very just a lot of information from some of the commentaries, and some that are just having fun. Very good mixture of commentaries here. You also get here as well, you get a lot of short films from the director as well. You get production still galleries, behind the scenes rehearsal footage. You get audition tapes, you get pre-production footage, original theatrical trailer, and so much more. This release is jam-packed, guys, and for a movie like this, it really does deserve it. I was so happy with this movie, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was really pleasantly surprised with this movie. It's a really great horror comedy. It's a really great sort of alien creature stalking type of movie, and it's a movie that makes fun of the genre but yet praises it and honors it at the same time. Really well done here. Really enjoyed it. I would easily recommend this. There's nothing out there. Then the last Vinegar Syndrome title that I picked up, guys, for the month is a really great one, and one that is now out of print with this limited edition, and that is Blood Harvest right here, with the wonderful slipcover here with Tiny Tim's face as the marvelous Mervo. Yeah, it's very wacky and interesting. Tiny Tim right here, guys. I love this. And the same one on the back side as well right here, guys. So, whoop, right there, flip it over. And you also get on the inside here the theatrical art as well, which I really do like this art also. Very cool stuff there as well. And so in December, my friend John came up to me. My friend John came up to me and he said, dude, have you seen Blood Harvest? And I'm like, no, I've never seen Blood Harvest. You know, and he's like, well, Vinegar Syndrome released in October, and I'm interested in picking it up now, but there's not many copies left on their site, and you know, I don't know whether I should pick it up or not. So I ended up seeing like, okay, I really got to check this movie out. So I ended up watching it on YouTube because it is out there, and I really enjoyed the movie, and so I recommended my friend John to pick it up. I ended up picking it up as well. Now, I had to wait for my copy while the other two titles from Vinegar Syndrome were on pre-order, so it didn't ship until the rest of the stuff shipped as well. And what happened in the meantime is that this limited edition ended up actually going out of print. So the slipcover and everything is now completely out of print. Maybe you can find it on eBay, but you're certainly going to pay a premium for it, guys. And something tells me that the slipcover that I have for this one here is the last slipcover that Vinegar Syndrome put out. Because again, I pre-ordered it with the other titles, so something tells me that they just saved mine until the rest of my order shipped. So this could be the very last slipcover that they have for this title. And damn, is it a wonderful slipcover. And it's a really interesting and fascinating movie because basically it's about this chick who comes back to this town and her parents are missing. She doesn't know where they are. And the town is really upset with her and her family because, her family is part of this bank that's taking away all these farmers' farms and homes and hiking up taxes and properties and everything. And in the meanwhile, all this is happening. There's actually a killer that is on the loose that is stalking her and killing her friends and family as well. And she has to try to find out who it is and survive and try to stop this guy from killing. And it's a very standard slasher film, guys, but I have to admit, I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I thought that the acting was really good. I love the leading lady in here. I think she's really likable, very relatable, and I thought she did a really great job here. I like the killer, however, I'm not gonna lie, you do find out who the killer is very early on. I mean, it's not really a surprise. You kind of know who it is, but I still thought it was really effective. And the reason why this film is kind of weird and odd is because of Tiny Tim, man. Because Tiny Tim has a really weird performance here as this guy who is kind of a little unhinged. He's not exactly normal. He's dressing up in a clown costume and clown makeup. He's singing to himself. He just randomly comes in and out of like the shot, just at random, just doing something wacky and then just walking out. Uh, I think it was Tiny Tim's only movie performance I think he ever did, unless I'm mistaken. But it's really fascinating, really interesting of a movie just for Tiny Tim alone. Tiny Tim's good in the movie. He's just very weird and odd. And Tiny Tim was always a weird personality, but this was just really odd and weird alone, man. And I really found it very effective here. I like the kills. I like the blood here and the gore, and I think that the kills are really effective here. It's a standard slasher film with a really odd and weird performance by Tiny Tim, but I think it's actually a pretty decent film overall. I actually really enjoyed it, quite honestly. I don't know what I was expecting hearing that Tiny Tim was in it, but it's one that I know that people talk about a lot, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I really did enjoy it quite a bit. And Vinegar Syndrome didn't do too bad on this title, guys. You have here a brand new audio commentary with the producer slash co-writer, and he really talks about getting this movie off the ground, the financing for it, and of course he talks about making the movie, the director, how they got Tiny Tim involved as well. Very interesting commentary here. You also have a couple of featurettes with Tiny Tim, and one specifically where Tiny Tim is like he's at this state fair performing, and this is after he shot the film and the film hadn't come out yet, and he's at this state fair and he's performing, and there's this guy that has this video camera, and it's over an hour's worth of a like featurette where he's actually like filming Tiny Tim having a conversation with him, just talking about him as an artist, his life, talking about his opinions on politics and religion, and it's a really crazy featurette, guys, but it's actually really well done. I really like this one a lot, guys, and I thought it was actually quite good. I would easily recommend this title. Again, if you like slasher films, if you like weird, creepy stuff with like Tiny Tim in it, or the only one Tiny Tim was ever been in, give it a shot, guys. I really like this slasher film, and you know what? It's kind of interesting because I know this title is very sought after. I know it's gotten a few releases and a couple of those releases got pulled, but this is a really great title, guys. I really enjoyed it, and you know what? For me, I don't know if you guys are willing to go out there and find it on eBay or anything, but if you get a chance, definitely give this a look. A very cool title, and Vinegar Syndrome did a really great job. Highly recommended, guys. Blood Harvest. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is a release that I'm really glad came out. I know that a lot of people weren't really big fans of it, but I really enjoyed it. And I think I went in with checked expectations, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more than most. And that is the Cloverfield Paradox right here, guys. And let's get into this one because Super Bowl 2018 halftime happens, and suddenly there's a commercial that comes on for Netflix that is promoting the Cloverfield Paradox, that it is the next in the Cloverfield franchise. It's hitting that night, and you have to watch it right after the Super Bowl. The hype is real. Get on this immediately. You don't want to miss out on this. And suddenly, social media, Facebook, and everybody is like just like furiously typing, "Oh my God, the next Cloverfield film is coming out! Oh my God, this is a must-watch event." And then everybody watches it, and then the whole flood of hate just goes all over Facebook, all over the internet, and everybody is so fucking pissed about this movie. They absolutely hate this movie. Everyone's like, this movie's garbage and it's terrible and it's a piece of trash and it's just it shouldn't have not ever been made. And oh man, I mean, I heard it all. I did, but I watched it, and after I watched it, I said, that was actually pretty good. And and maybe I'm the only one on the planet. Maybe I am. I'm not gonna lie. But you want to know what? I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. Again, I went in with checked expectations. Something about it said to me was like, you know what? This movie is probably not gonna be the most brilliant sci-fi movie of all time. It's probably going to be a little cheesy, a little over the top ridiculous, but you know what? I know this is going to be something that I'll probably enjoy. And that was the case, guys. I mean, basically it's about these scientists who are in space, and basically the Earth's resources are basically depleting, and they're trying to find a new natural resource in order to supply Earth. And they're doing all these experiments, and one experiment goes right, but it also goes horribly wrong because now there's all these things going wrong with the ship. There's all these weird things that are happening. They can't find Earth. They're basically lost in space, and basically they have to figure out what's going on and try to reverse it, and just all the weirdness and oddness and creepiness that sort of happens from there. I thought it was effective. I thought the acting from everybody was really well done. I thought the leads were really good. I loved the design of the spaceship here. I thought the design of the spaceship was very unique. I really enjoyed the CGI. I thought the CGI was pretty decent. I enjoyed the creepy, odd stuff that happened, especially with the creeping arm. I thought that was really cool as well. And I liked the ties into Cloverfield as a universe and a world. I like those ties into it as well. I don't know. It's interesting because the Cloverfield franchise is not exactly interconnected a lot. There's little things. I think it's more of like anthology stories than anything else. And I think people just were really hyped about it because, look, I'm not going to lie, the first Cloverfield is a really great movie. I really love that first Cloverfield. And 10 Cloverfield Lane, even though it doesn't really connect to the first Cloverfield, is a very unique and very powerful film with a great fucking performance by John Goodman. And so there's a little bit of like, oh, okay, well, this one's gonna live up to that hype, right? And I think people went in with huge high expectations, and I think the movie could not live up to those expectations at all, guys. I really don't think it ever could. I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was a very interesting little sci-fi film, and yes, it copies from a lot of films. It copies from Lost in Space. It copies from Blade Runner. It copies from Alien. It copies from Event Horizon. I mean, there's so many ones that it copies from, and I know a lot of people were upset by that too. But again, uh, you know, there's not much originality anymore in movies. I hate to admit it, guys, but it's the truth. But if you can spin it in an interesting way, then I'm all for it, and I really did like this one a lot. Again, that's just me. I go in with lower expectations, and sometimes I'm really pleasantly surprised, and this one is one of them, guys. And I was really happy that this actually came on disc because a lot of Netflix movies are not really coming on disc right now, unfortunately. A lot of ones that I'd love to own are not coming on disc at this point. But the reason why we got this on disc is because Paramount gave Netflix a 1 year exclusive rights on streaming deal. So after that year was over, Paramount could end up releasing the film on physical media, and that's what we got. So I'm really happy that they did, and I hope in the future we get more Netflix movies on physical media at some point because man, they're holding back a lot of really great stuff here. But I'm glad Cloverfield Paradox did get at least a physical media release, and some interesting special features here, guys. You have Things Are Not As They Appear, the making of the Cloverfield Paradox. And it's actually, I thought it was going to be a fluff piece, like a 5 minute fluff piece, but it actually is more than that. You actually get the director really talking about the making of it, the script, the sci-fi elements, how it deals into Cloverfield, the designs of the ship itself, what they wanted to do with the film, filming it, the CGI, the practical effects. They talk to the actors. Very interesting feature right here. And you also get Shepard team, the cast, talking with all of the people who played the scientists in the movie. And really, again, they really got into their characters and what they brought to the roles. And I really like these two featurettes. I would have loved to have seen a commentary here, but, wasn't meant to be. But again, I really liked them. They're not really fluff pieces. There's actually more to them, and I really like that a lot. And I'm really glad that this came to physical media, guys. For me, again, I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to put it with the other Cloverfield films. But again, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, I can't blame you. Me, I went in with checked expectations, and I liked what I saw. Not bad at all. The Cloverfield Paradox. Then the next title I picked up is a indie horror film, which it was a blind buy, and I gave it a chance, and I was pleasantly surprised, guys, and that is You Might Be the Killer. And, at the first Blu-ray DVD out and about of February, I actually showed this title off, I believe, at Walmart. And at the time, I was like, this is really interesting. I'm wondering whether this has a Blu-ray release. And I found one over at Diabolic DVD, and I ordered it. And man, did I really enjoy this movie, guys. Basically, it's about this main camp counselor guy, and at the beginning of the film, he is blood-soaked, he's running for his life, he's out of breath. He stops, he calls his friend up, and he says, "Oh my God, all these camp counselors, we're dying. Somebody's killing us, and help, please help me." And then it just dives in from there. And it's a really interesting movie. It's a horror comedy that I think really pays a lot of homage to a lot of slasher films from back in the day, the Friday the 13th, the sleepaway camps, all that jazz. And I think it does a really, really great job here. I won't really spoil anything because there's a potential to spoil stuff for this film, especially who the actual killer is. So I won't go into that, but I will say this much though. I love the comedy here, man. I love the comedy here. I love how they actually are referencing other horror films. There's actually a character here that's on the phone played by Allison Hannigan, and she's talking about how this reminds her of Jason Voorhees and how it reminds her of Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. And she's on the phone talking about this to the camp counselor who's running for his life. And I love how, again, they're playing with the genre. Just like There's Nothing Out There, they play with the genre in a really interesting way. And I think it really works. I think they do a really great job with this movie. I love the kills. I think the kills are brutal. It really reminds me a lot of something like a Hatchet or some of the later Friday the 13th films. Really brutal stuff here. I really liked what they did with the kills here. I love the acting. I think Franz Kranz does a really great job with this role, guys. I think he's freaking awesome here. And he's definitely embraced the genre. Ever since Cabin in the Woods, he's done a few interesting horror films, and he's definitely embraced it with the fans. And he does a great job here. He really gives it his all. Allison Hannigan has a small role here, but does a great job here. And all the actors do a phenomenal role, man. They know what movie they're in, and they're playing it up really well. I love it. And I think the directing here is great. I think the setting with the camp and everything, the creepiness of it works really well here. And I really love the design of the mask and the killer. If you can kind of see there with the mask and everything of the killer, I think that's really cool. And I love how in the movie, how they explain it and everything. I think that's really cool, how they explain the killer and the origins. I really enjoyed this. It brought me back to a lot of those ones from the 80s and the 90s, those cheesy camp counselor films where they were getting killed, like The Burning, which really just, I was like, dude, this is right down my alley. I really love this one, and I feel like it's one that not many people have heard of. But I'm telling you, if you love those type of films, those slasher, camp counselor type of movies, man, give this a chance, because it's really unique and really interesting and incredibly fun. Really love this one a lot. And the only thing that you get here for bonus content here is you get an audio commentary with the filmmakers, And this is one hell of a commentary, guys. They're having fun as hell talking about this movie, talking about working with the actors, how they got Allison Hannigan and Fran Kranz, where the origin of this idea of the film came, which it was actually started from a Twitter conversation. Crazy enough, and they talk about how the Twitter conversation happened and how they ended up applying it to the film and the origins and how this film was supposed to be shot in a different location and how they changed locations and everything. Really fun commentary. Love this one a lot. And it's a really fun independent horror film that, again, I was really glad I gave a chance to. And some of these titles that I see at the Walmarts and other places, sometimes I don't give them a chance because I don't really, they don't seem like something that is up my alley. But there's ones like this where I'm like, I'm going to give this a chance, and I get pleasantly surprised. And this is one of those guys. I really enjoy this one a lot. If you guys have not given this a chance, please do it. I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all. Incredibly fun, man. Love it so much. You might be the killer. Very cool indeed. And the next title that I picked up is a movie that, man, is really fun. Really just a really great biopic and with an incredibly, really fantastic and award-winning performance. And that is Bohemian Rhapsody right here, guys. And, oh man, talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, so, there is certain bands that when you hear it for the first time, you're like, this band is iconic, this band is awesome, and it depends on the song that you first listen to, and the context in where you hear the song, right, guys? And I remember watching Revenge of the Nerds for the first time and watching it and loving the movie. Revenge of the Nerds is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And the end when they're on stage and they're talking about how, I'm a nerd and you're a nerd and everybody's a nerd, and everybody gets on stage and they're like, nerds, 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 nerds. And suddenly, it swells, and next thing you know, We Are the Champions is playing right on the screen along with it, and then the end credits happen, and they're showing the cast of characters, and it's like, We Are the Champions, and I'm like, oh my god, man. And that was the first time I had ever heard Queen, was We Are the Champions, and I literally was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. Who is this band? I gotta check this out. And that was where I first became a huge fan of Queen, was Revenge of the Nerds, that end sequence there, and oh man, dude, and then the love affair just continued from there, guys. And I always really loved Queen and their music. I feel like they're just really infectious, and I know a lot of people really got into them from Wayne's World when they did the opening with Bohemian Rhapsody, and banging their heads and everything. Wherever you heard it, however you heard Queen, whatever, it always sticks with you. The music is infectious and really well done. And, there's been so many musical biopics to come out over the years. Stuff with The Doors, stuff with, all of these great bands and all of these really great musicians to come out over the years. And at some point you always thought there's got to be one that's going to come out with Queen eventually, right? There's just got to be, it's only natural it's going to come out at some point. And, well, it finally did. And I think it's a really well done film, guys. I think the acting here is phenomenal. An award-winning performance by Rami Malek, who plays Freddie Mercury, and and I think everyone does a really great job here, man. From the small acting roles all the way to Rami Malek, man. I think everybody gives it their all with this. I love the recreation of certain scenes in the film from their whole lives, including Live Aid. I think the drama here is really great. I really like the story of the band and the struggles that they had, especially Freddie Mercury, and the struggles that he dealt with not only personally but professionally as well. It's a really wonderful, infectious movie. Of course, the songs are great as well. And, everything from the costume designs to the setting to just the acting, everything is just really top notch and well done here. And I know everybody is upset about this film for the fact that the movie does manipulate events and does put certain scenes into different contexts when that's not exactly what happened in real life. And I get it. I understand the hatred, and I understand how people would knock this film down because of it, and because of what happened with the director of the film as well. Of course, I won't go into it, but it's out there. It's online. You guys can look it up. And the one thing I can say about the whole timeline issues here is that pretty much every biopic does it, guys. I mean, if you look back at the biopic of The Doors or like a lot of other biopics, Straight Outta Compton and all that stuff, there's always manipulation of events and timeline stuff. There's nothing is going to be entirely accurate. And by God, man, I wish it was, but unfortunately, we have to have like a 4 hour plus film or even a second film in itself to get all of the information right. And sometimes you just need to truncate stuff, and that's where you're going to get into issues of just not exactly being completely accurate to what the events that actually happened. But that being said, man, I think the film is really brilliant. I think it's really well done here, guys. And again, the film won a bunch of Academy Awards, including Best Actor, and I think it deserved it. I think it's really one of the better musical biopics to come out in quite a while, guys. And again, I was in the theater, man, and it was just a great time watching it. Again, I was just having a ball with it, and it's just as good on home video as it is in the theater. It was just a great experience, man. I'm glad to own it. And you get here a few things. You get the complete Live Aid performance here, guys. You get the complete Live Aid performance that you couldn't see in the movie itself. They kind of truncated the Live Aid performance, so you see the full thing here, and it's fantastic, dude. It's you if you were to Google the whole YouTube thing of the live performance of Live Aid that Queen did, and just like back to back, there's a lot of accurate stuff. They really went for accuracy in a big bad way here, and it really works here. You also get here Rami Malek becoming Freddy, and it's really an interesting thing of how much Rami Malek had to put into it. Whether it was the wigs, whether it was the hair and makeup, whether it was just having a choreographer to the way he moves and everything. Very fascinating stuff there, guys. I really loved how he moved and how he had to get the certain stuff down for Freddy. He even made like dental prosthetics so he could get like the exact kind of teeth that Freddie Mercury had. Fantastic, man. Really well done here. Rami, man, from this featurette, he did an amazing job and definitely worth the Academy Award win that he got. You also have the look and sound of Queen, really talking about the other band members of Queen and how they had to end up like recreating them and recreating the look and everything. Very wonderful stuff that they had to do as well here. And of course, the sound and how they had to really get, the instruments and how they had to recreate stuff. Very cool here. And you also get recreating Live Aid, talking about recreating the sets and recreating the atmosphere and of course the crowd and everything. Really fantastic stuff here. A really well done and well made film, guys. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really good here and well worth your time, guys. I think it's well worth it. I think it's really good, and I think that you guys will have a ball with it. Again, it's not the most accurate biopic of all time, but I think it's really well done here, and I feel like if you love Queen, I think it honors Queen in a really wonderful way. I love it a lot, and I think you guys would too. Definitely pick it up if you get a chance, or just give it a chance and just watch it. Bohemian Rhapsody. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is a release from Severin Films, and that is none other than Next of Kin right here, guys, with a really great slipcover here with the little girl kind of soaked in blood and everything, and the red ball right there. Very cool stuff. And on the back side there, the guy there in sort of the water there, it's all like in red, and he's kind of like creeping up at the window. And on the inside here, I chose the theatrical art here, which is actually really cool here with the hand and sort of the house on the bottom there. Really, really cool artwork there as well. Really love that one a lot. And I was actually really looking forward to this because I watched Next of Kin many, many years back, guys, and I really loved it a lot. I thought it was a really well done horror film, a really well done Australian horror film as well. I love the setting here. I love the creepiness. It's basically about this woman who inherits this retirement home from her mother, and basically she comes back to the area, and once she's there at the retirement home, there's so many really weird and creepy things that are happening, and there's a lot of stuff of like going into her past and what happened to her as a child, and you don't know whether this is ghosts or what's going on exactly. All you know is it's very creepy, very atmospheric, and you don't really know what's truly going on until the end of the actual film, and then you really know what's going on, and it's like really just like complete terror. And it's so well done, guys. It really is. I really like this one. Again, as I said, creepy, atmospheric. I think the acting is very well done. I love the imagery here. I love this sort of. It's almost like, thinking about it, it's almost very Hitchcockian in a lot of ways. It feels like it's taken a lot from Hitchcock, and feels like it's a lot of what you don't see versus what you see, and it's a lot of stuff that's very suggested. And just I love the female lead here. She's very effective, but I love when she's going like crazy and out of her mind, and when she starts to lose her mind, and the fact that she has to fight for her life, and she's trying to figure out what's going on, and getting scared and terrified, and I mean she goes through the gamut of emotions, and man, I mean she does a fantastic performance. Everybody does. I love the old people here in the retirement home who feel just as creepy as actually what's going on itself, because I love that, because when you get old there's a certain sense of death and the looming dread of death, and I love that. That's a part of the movie as well, and how these older people are dying, and how it may or may not be an accident. And I really love this film a lot. It really is awesome, and I feel like this movie doesn't get as much love as it really kind of deserves, guys. I think it's actually much better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I think it's gotten sort of lost in the crowd sometimes, and there's a certain amount of horror films that do get lost in the crowd of films where you're like, God, they should get more love. Next of Kin is one of those ones, man. They really, it's a really well done horror film, man, and really something you guys should definitely check out. And Severin, man, did a great job with this release, as Severin usually does. I mean, let's be honest. And there's a lot here. You get a commentary with the director Tony Williams and producer Tim White, and of course they talk about the making of it, what they wanted to accomplish here, the Australian setting, other horror films that they took influence from, and where it kind of sets in the horror genre now, and what their thoughts are on it. Very interesting commentary here, guys. You also get a commentary with Mark Hartley and cast members Jackie Karen, John Garrett, and Robert Rattle. And a very interesting one as well. Of course, they talk about making the movie and acting in it, and the terror and horror of making the movie, and how they had to act scared and frightened. And also, of course, people coming up to them talking about the movie and their thoughts on the movie years later. Very cool commentary as well. You also get House of Psychotic Women intro by Kira Lira Janice for Morbido TV. And it's just this woman talking about women in horror, and the female lead in here, and how she had to deal with, the creepiness and the story behind it and everything. Just a few minutes of an interesting intro for this sort of TV special thing. You also get extended interviews from Not Quite Hollywood, which was a documentary about sort of Australian films, Australian filmmakers, and the director from that documentary talking about this movie, and talking about his influences, and making the movie, and how being set in Australia made it more unique, and that kind of thing there. You also get Return to Montclair Location Revisit from 2018. Really cool seeing what the locations look like back then to what they look like now, and the differences that it is from then to now. Very cool stuff there. I like that as well. You also get deleted scenes, Before the Night is Out, ballroom footage, trailers, alternate German opening, image gallery, and a Tony Williams short film from the director. A lot of stuff to chew on, guys. A very, very cool film indeed. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Very effective, atmospheric, creepy horror film that I definitely think you guys should check out. Definitely give it a chance, man. a really well done horror film. And again, some of these ones get lost in the shuffle, and this one is one that you definitely should check out. Next, of Kin. Then the next title that I picked up is a Scorpion releasing title and a Lucio Fulci title. Back to my Lucio Fulci love, guys. And that is none other than The Psychic right here, with this really great slipcover here with the woman sort of breaking off the bricks there and finding sort of this skeleton in there. Very cool there. And on the inside there, you also get the theatrical art as well, with her like sort of strewn over the inside of a skull. Very, very cool art there. I really like that art a lot. And oh man, you know what? I love me some Fulci. You guys know that if you've been watching the Blu-ray pickup videos, and it was time to get back into some Fulci love. And this is a really great title. Basically, it's about this woman who is having these sort of visions and these premonitions of things that are happening that are going to lead to her death. And the more that this stuff is coming true, the more that this stuff is becoming a reality. She's fearing for her life. She doesn't know how it's going to happen. She doesn't know who's going to kill her. She just knows that she's going to be killed, and she's trying to prevent it and stop it. And it's a really wonderful, tense horror film. I love the performance by Jennifer O'Neill here. I think she's really great, playing terrified, scared, trying to figure out what's going on here. I love seeing her in this movie. I think she did a phenomenal job here. I love the locations and the settings. They're absolutely gorgeous and beautiful here. I love how Lucio Fulci builds up the mystery here and builds up the sort of tension and what's going to happen with it and who's the actual killer. I really like that a lot as well here. And man, Lucio Fulci, man, give Lucio Fulci credit, because, you know, like I said, a lot of people think of Lucio Fulci as, oh, the guy who directed Zombie, or the guy who directed all these other horror titles that you know. And and in some ways, a lot of these other titles that he's done, I feel they kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit. Like, a lot of times people look at these titles and they're like, oh, yeah, he did that one? Yeah, I didn't know he did that one. And what I love is there's a lot of underrated gems in Lucio Fulci's career, and this is one of them, man. It's a very underrated movie that I feel doesn't get the kind of love that it really deserves. And that's the same with a lot of Lucio Fulci titles. There's a lot of titles that don't get nearly the amount of love that they really deserve, guys. And The Psychic is one of them. Again, it's not the best Lucio Fulci film. Some of the visions and everything that are in the film are not always the most effective, but I really do love that he really tried to make something unique and different, and I give him a lot of credit. I love him as a filmmaker. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, man. He really is, and I love all the different and interesting movies that he's done. You take the horror genre and you take what Lucio Fulci has done for the horror genre, whether it's zombies or just or straight up like slashers, or doing something that's based on like witches, or something like this, which is more of like in your mind kind of horror film. He does very interesting and unique different stuff, and this is one of the titles that I really did enjoy, guys. I really like this one a lot, man. Definitely give it a chance. And Scorpion Releasing, man, they did this good, man. They did a lot of love with this title. You have a brand new 2K scan of the original camera negative here with extensive color correction and audio fixes done in the States. You have an audio commentary with film historian Troy Howarth, and it's a really great commentary because he talks about where Fulci was in his in his directing career at that point. He talks about his directing career. He talks about what he wanted to accomplish with this film. He talks about Jennifer O'Neill and her career. He talks about the setting of the film and all the other actors in the piece as well, and other films that are similar to this. Really very well informative audio commentary here. I really like that one a lot. And you also get here an interview with the screenwriter as well, including audio excerpts with director Lucio Fulci. And he really talks about working with Fulci and how him and Fulci did not get along, and they had a really contentious relationship, and they were not the best of friends. and how they came up with this really interesting concept, and years later the idea that even though they had this really not very great relationship, how Lucio Fulci still loved working with him. And it's a very wonderful and very extensive interview that he did. I really liked it a lot. I thought he did a really great job, guys. And you also get a still gallery and trailers as well. A lot of really wonderful stuff to chew on with this film, and a really interesting and not well known Lucio Fulci film that I think you guys should definitely check out. Again, if you're a fan of Lucio Fulci like I am and are trying to find all of his different kind of work that he's done, grab The Psychic, guys, because it is really a very unique, intense film, and one that I think he did a very fantastic job on. The Psychic. Then the last pickup that I got, guys, for the month is, well, I'll just say it. That's just too fucking high, guys. And that is none other than Used Cars right here from Shout Select here. And oh man, I really love this art right here as well. I don't know whether this was the theatrical art or not. I think it probably was. With the lemon there and they're fighting over a customer. I really like this movie a lot, guys. And crazy enough, this movie came out a few years ago by Twilight Time. Now, the Twilight Time release, I wanted to pick up the Twilight Time release. And what happened with that was I didn't think it was going to sell out because it's Used Cars. I thought, okay, it's Used Cars. I got a little bit of time before, it sells out. And, well, stupid me, it sold out far faster than I even thought it was going to. And I was like, well, shit. Damn it, I missed out on that. And I tried buying it on eBay, and the prices for that release skyrocketed, guys. Oh my god, it just, and that's with any Twilight Time release that, gets sold out. It just skyrocketed in price, and I'm like, I'm not paying like $90 fucking for Used Cars. That's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do it, guys. And so I just sat there. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna either find it in the wild or another company's gonna release it at some point. And I'm so glad that Shout Select released it. And oh, this is such a fun film, guys. This is such a fun comedy, man. Basically, it's about these sort of misfits who work at this this sort of dealership, this rundown dealership, and they're competing with this other dealership across the road, and who is much more like, I guess, the evil dealership, if you want to, call it that. And they're fighting for customers and fighting to sort of sell cars, and sort of hilarity ensues from there. It's so well done, man. Jack Warden in this is hilarious, playing two roles. He's just awesome in here. Kurt Russell is fucking fantastic in here, man. This is one of the movies that I saw early on when I was a kid, because this was actually taped on one of the VHS tapes that my mother and father had. So I watched this very early on when I was a kid. And this is one of the movies that I fell in love with Kurt Russell for, man. This is a great movie. He is hilarious in this movie, man. And all the actors, man, are great in here. They're just fucking hilarious. The lines in here are just fantastic. And even though these characters are kind of sleazy and they take advantage of people, you kind of warm up to them. They're kind of heartwarming. You're kind of like, yeah, they're kind of, not very nice people, but I'm kind of enjoying watching them. It's really fun, and I had a ball watching this movie, guys, from back in the day, and I still have a ball watching it now. It's a really great comedy. It really honestly is, guys. It's very old school, like I said, Jack Warden in this, a very young Kurt Russell. But again, man, so well done here. And this movie is also directed by Robert Zemeckis, which, of course, this was before Back to the Future. This was before he really became this big, prolific, director doing stuff like Forrest Gump and everything like that. And he's just having a ball directing this, man. And it's one hell of a time watching this movie, man. If you love these type of, movies about, cars and these sort of hilarious and sleazy people doing really, really dirty and not good things, then this is right up your alley, guys. And I gotta give Shout Select a lot of credit. I'm glad they released it. And you get here a new interview with producer, co-writer Bob Gale. And Bob Gale is actually really engaging here. And he really talks about the concept of the movie, how it was actually supposed to be done by different filmmakers, but they actually took the idea and did it themselves, and how, of course, they got Kurt Russell involved and working with Jack Warden, and sort of the ideas from other filmmakers that they put into the film as well. Very cool interview with him, brand new interview for that. You also get the old commentary with director Robert Zemeckis, Bob Gale, and actor Kurt Russell. And guys, I'm telling you, this is one of the best fucking audio commentaries, hands down. This is one of the most hilarious audio commentaries, man. Kurt Russell and Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, they are having a fucking ball watching this movie, man. Kurt Russell is laughing his ass off at stuff. It is wonderful. They talk about different anecdotes in the movie, but it's just fun hearing Kurt Russell and him just laughing at jokes and just being like, oh my god, I can't believe we fucking did that. And like, it's such a great commentary, man. This is one of the commentaries that made me fall in love with audio commentaries. I love this one so much, guys. You have that, you have outtakes, you have radio interviews and spots, theatrical trailer, photo galleries, and much more. Oh man, I am so fucking happy that this got released by Shout Select, guys. You have no idea. I used to own the DVD, and when Twilight Time announced their release, I ended up getting rid of the DVD, and I wish I didn't, but I took a gamble and waited for a long time before ever purchasing it again, and I'm glad it paid off, man. This is such a fun and great fucking movie, man. Used Cars is classic. Classic comedy, classic Robert Zemeckis, classic, like, just back in the day comedy, and yeah, man, loads of fun. I just love this movie so much, and I'm glad it's now gonna be in the collection for me to watch anytime I damn well please. I love this fucking movie so much. Definitely watch it if you guys have not given it a chance. Used Cars. Alright, everybody, that'll do it for the February pickups here. And like I said, man, a small haul, but you know what, man? I really had fun with this haul for the month of February, man. Some really great, unique, and interesting titles. Man, I had a lot of fun picking these titles up for February, man. And now on to March here, and there is a lot of really cool releases that are coming out in March, man. Some really great releases that were in the theaters that is finally getting the love on Blu-ray and DVD and 4K. And a couple of those titles I'll be picking up. Also, there's going to be a lot of titles that I'll be getting for this month that is technically considered so bad, it's good. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but there's a lot of titles that I'm going to get where they're just really weird and odd and fucked up movies that just the B movie lover in me just can't resist. So there's gonna be some really very unique and interesting titles that I'm picking up for March, guys, and it's gonna be very, very fun checking some of those titles out. So just to let you know, it won't be a huge haul like this time around, but I will tell you, man, there's gonna be some really unique and interesting and really some oddball shit that I'm gonna get, guys. So yeah, stay tuned for the next Blu-ray pickup video next month, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video here. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys picked up for the entire month of February. Like I said, there was actually some really great releases to come out, so I'm hoping you guys picked up something real good. Definitely let me know. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Check out the other Blu-ray and DVD videos I do on Tuesdays. I do that every single week. Check out the Blu-ray pickup videos here I do every single month. Check out the theatrical reviews I do with my friends every single week as well. Plus so much more content, including movie hunting videos and so much more. If you're a lover of movies and physical media, hit subscribe and be a part of the Film Fan Nation. I have to admit, man, I have really wonderful subscribers. I love the comments that I get. You guys are really engaged in the channel, and I can't thank you guys enough. You know, sometimes doing these videos, they can be a little tough from time to time, but then I upload it and I get the great comments and the feedback, and it just makes me work even harder for you guys. It really does. And you guys know how much of a movie lover I am, how much I really go out of my way to talk about movies, and I hope I give the passion right back to you guys. So if you love what I do, definitely hit subscribe. And again, check me out on social media, FilmFan108 through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I put up special videos and pictures from time to time on social media, so definitely check me out there and keep up to date with all that I am posting week to week. Alright guys, I will see you back next month for a brand new Blu-ray pickups video. Hope you guys pick up something good. Happy hunting, and I'll see you back next time. Take care, guys.